a group of 7 big tech stocks, known as the Magnificent Seven, grew 75% in 2023, leaving the rest of the S&P 500 in the dust. But if we look at each individual stock in 2024, the group has an outlier.
Tesla has kind of stuck out like a sore thumb in terms of the Magnificent Seven.
This year, Tesla's share price is down more than 25%.
If Tesla stock keeps falling, that might be bad news for the S&P 500 simply because it would drag the index down.
Here's what Tesla's slide says about this elite group of tech stocks and why investors are concerned. Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Nvidia, Alphabet, Tesla, Meta.
The Magnificent Seven.
Unlike these gunslingers, this Magnificent Seven is, by some measures, worth more than all the stocks from these 4 countries combined. But that dominance has bred doubt.
So one big risk, I think, on investors' minds is that while these stocks have helped drive the market higher toward repeated highs to start 2024, there is concern that they could stage a big U-turn.
And it wouldn't be the first time. In 2022, they collectively lost $4.7 trillion in value amid worries that rising interest rates could cause a recession, dragging down the rest of the index.
People were thinking, has the dot-com bubble just burst? Are these stocks done for good?
But in May 2023, that changed when Nvidia announced record profits for an unexpected reason.
Generative AI drove significant upside in demand for our products, creating opportunities and broad-based global growth across our markets.
Many investors looking at its earnings, hearing its earnings calls, their mouths were to the floor. They just had this incredibly blockbuster earnings report that shocked investors and made investors think we have to bet big on AI. And that sent Nvidia shares soaring and a lot of these other stocks soaring as well.
Around the same time, strong economic data and easing inflation gave tech stocks another boost. That led to the Magnificent Seven's 75% rally. But for Tesla, which was gearing up for the Cybertruck launch, there was a rough road ahead.
You have Elon Musk saying,
I just want to temper expectations for Cybertruck.
And that hit its stock pretty hard.
Musk later revealed that Tesla fell behind Chinese EV maker BYD in quarterly sales for the first time. All of this helped lead to that drop in its share value.
In terms of concerns about, bubbles or a stock being in a bubble, Tesla is the one that people worry about the most.
A bubble is when shares of a stock are pumped higher than their worth, often driven by investor excitement.
Tesla has always been valued like a technology company, so that gives it a higher valuation because investors tend to value tech companies higher than they do, say, car companies. So some of the really bearish investors on Tesla say, hey, this is just a car company. This is not a tech company and doesn't deserve this kind of rich valuation premium.
But there may be bubbles within the technology sphere, too.
I've heard investors say that they think AI in the stock market and the impact of AI and all these AI beneficiaries are a huge bubble. The issue is that we're still in early innings of the AI game in the stock market, and it's going to be years before we find out, what are the implications of AI? How are people and companies actually using this technology? So that seems pretty far out in the future right now.
While some investors are uncertain about the Magnificent Seven's future, others are doubling down on their positions.
Some individual investors and even institutional investors I've been speaking with are kind of afraid to bet against these stocks because they've been so dominant in the market.
Some investors say that Tesla doesn't deserve to be part of that group. But
the thing is, people have been saying that Tesla is in a bubble for 5 years now. Of course, for the most part, it's held up the past few years, so time will tell if it ends up kind of collapsing and being the bubble that a lot of investors say it is.